Hi guys, it's Little Guy from HO Motorsports. Okay, I'm going to be doing part 2, and in part 2 I'm going to be showing you guys how I prep the hood for primer. I already went upstairs and I used, I think I have it, hold on, I have it right here. This is my favorite soap. I used Dawn. It's trial size because sometimes I like to wet sand down here. But this is the soap I use upstairs. It'll take off all the oil and grease. I washed the hood down with that. I dried it off, so now it's all dry. And we're gonna not wet sand. We're gonna dry sand with 600. I just write 600 across this thing because when you start cutting it up, you don't know what the grit is, especially if you buy sandpaper in a big piece. That only a small portion of it says 600. It gets to be a pain in the butt. So just use a nice permanent marker and just write it all over the thing. Even though I'm going to cut it right in half right here. I'm going to put the other half aside. We don't need that. I'm going to fold this in half. It's funny looking at the camera like this. It's like right in front of me, and I'm trying to do this around the camera. I'm actually looking inside of the camera while I'm doing this. But yeah, I fold it over once, maybe twice, and we're gonna just start sanding. Basically, all you want to do is just, I don't know if you guys can see. Let's see. You can see. I just started, but you can see outside the glossy. Let's see if I can get in a little bit closer. I'm gonna try to, let's see how close I can. I'm gonna turn it back. Let's see if it can focus in on the shine. There's the shine. You can see some shine. Now you want to continue doing that. You want to continue sanding 600 until there's no shine. You can see the marks right there. White is a really hard color for the camera to show up on, but you can see there are marks right there. So when we're done, you can actually see it's dull right there. That's what we're looking to get. That's what we're looking to get. We're looking to get this all dull. So I'm gonna start sanding this, and medium pressure. You don't want to go like an animal, but you want to give it a light sanding. Light pressure. Now this is 600 grit. Now if you can go heavier, I've used 150, I've used 320, but it's unnecessary. If the panel is exactly how you want it, and you're not going to be modifying it, cutting something off. You're just going to be you're not modifying. You're just going to be priming over it. And this is basically how it looks. This is it. Now, if you were going to be cutting it, let's say you wanted to cut out something. Let's say, well, not even, I don't mean cut out. Cut out, yeah, you can use a rougher grit to get it back more. I mean mainly if you're gonna, if you want to remove something, let's say there was like a hood pin here, all molded in on four sides. I would use, personally, you can use 150. I would not go to 80. 80 is just way too rough for a model to me. You could. I personally don't like to. 150 is rough enough. If I was going to do it though, I would take the time out of my life and sit there do it with the 320, because you got to remember, if you're going to use 150, 80, all these rough grits, you're now going to have to take them out. You have to take them out. It's not like you're using, you can't just use a huge, it's not, you just want to use, you can use them, but I would take the time and just use the 320. And because now you're going to be, let's say you miss one of those scratches. Now you're just spending a lot more. Now you've just caused yourself a lot more time, aggravation, that you now have to take those scratches now out. Let's say you miss one, you prime over. Okay, now you gotta sit there and sand it out. And to me, the extra 5 minutes that you sit here and do with the 600, it's fine. But okay, now let's look at it the other side. Let's say you did, on my Nova, I have a lot of modifications, and I've used 150. I'd never used 80 before. I've never done 80 on a model. I just think it's way too rough. I've only used 80 when I wanted to get a good bond with epoxy. Let's say you're putting something on, let's say you have something that's gonna be glued on. It's a line. I just take the sandpaper. I make it just like this. Say, let's take a guess, this is 80, and I just go right across in a straight line. Put a mark, you can use a Sharpie, put a line right across, go right across, and do it perfectly on that line. and then put your epoxy over it. It'll have something to bite into, and there you go. That's the problem with epoxy, I find, is epoxy is very strong. And the problem with epoxy is it doesn't melt into your plastic, which is a good and a bad thing. Good meaning, if you get it on something, you can get it off, and it won't destroy your model. Whereas if you mess up with like a weld, a plastic weld, you could go pretty far with a plastic weld. It just keeps melting. So, but with an epoxy, it doesn't. If the model is smooth, it sticks to it. But because I was testing with my Nova, I've glued that thing I think 10 times because I was not structurally happy with it. I wanted to be really strong, and without the little bit of an abrasion from the 80 grit, it just did not. It didn't adhere. It was hard as a rock. I'm not saying the epoxy didn't work, but it just did not have that. It couldn't grab onto something. If you would look at it under a microscope, there are ridges when you sand. And when you use 80 grit, it gives something for it to bite into. It gives a tooth. Now, that's really what the epoxy needs. Whereas with like a plastic weld, you put it on both sides, you put it on here and you leave it there. The plastic is actually heating up and melting, and when all the solvents and stuff evaporate out, that thing is now welded. Both of them got like a little bit. It basically melted the plastic on here, melted the plastic on there, and once it all like. After like I think it's like 2 hours or something, but that's for fully cure. But like once everything leaves that plastic, it's basically hard as a rock. You're gonna break. I've had it. I was really surprised. You'll be surprised by how strong that stuff is, because you're basically welding two things together. But the only time it's not going to be strong, and you have learned this the hard way, is when you don't get a good adhesion. You trying to glue over chrome parts, something like that, you're not going to get a good adhesion. It doesn't go through chrome. Or let's say you're doing it over paint. It's going to go, what's going to happen is, let's say it's an acrylic paint, or let's say it's a lacquer paint. You put a dot of it on there and you try to glue something to it. Okay, now you just brought the paint up. Now the paint's like trying to like, it's just like sitting there. It's like you just thinned the paint again. And I'm not going to say you're going to get a good adhesion, but the paint's now mixed in with the weld, and it's not going to work. You have to scratch a little bit of the paint off, put the stuff on, put a dot on both, and glue it there. Wait until it's like stays there by itself. Put it down, walk away. You're done. Come back in like 10 minutes. And if you want full strength, leave it for the 2 hours that it says. I used testers, the liquid stuff. I use this, and this is what I've found works really good for me. I've tried the I have the other stuff up there, the 10 something. What is it called? The 10x something. I don't like it that much. It doesn't work for me. It's okay. I was turned on to it by a friend, and I've tried it like 10 times, even after I've learned what it's supposed to do, and I can't get it to do it. I don't know if maybe it's all, I don't know. I just cannot get it to work. And what's as cool is about the one up there, well, all of them, is as you start to use them a lot, I know I'm doing this for like, I'm sanding this thing a long time, but I'm just getting everywhere. You really don't have to sand this much. You just, I could have let this go, but I'm just gonna keep doing it for just the sake of it, just to get it all perfectly good. What's really cool is as you keep using the glue, some of the plastic will get back into the bottle, and that'll thicken it just a touch. I think Cranky shows a video. People, not just Cranky, but a lot of people show videos how you put plastic in there and you can make it thicker and you can fill stuff with it. I've never done that before, but it's pretty cool to have that. Just to show that you can do stuff like that. It's really a versatile piece of equipment. So I'm looking at it right now off camera. I mean, in here, there's a little bit that's not sanded. That's fine. I don't care about that because there's going to be something over this, like right here. I mean, I'm getting anal with this. This is fine. This is completely fine. If you don't want to keep going and going and going, because you're just going to, you may put dents in it and all sorts of stuff. You just want to make it so there's no reflection left in it. I don't know if you can see that there's only certain parts that have a reflection, and that's fine, like in these little crevices, but majority of it is basically sanded and all rough. You do not want to see any shine. Now this, I mean, I can sand this. I'm honestly not, because you want me to tell you why? Because when I paint this, I'm going to prime it, base coat it, and then clear it. And I don't usually clear the underside. Just my impression. I just don't. You can. I just don't. So if I start... there's no reason why not to sand it. I'm just not going to. I'm gonna be, well, whatever. You know what? I don't care. Let's sand a little bit of it. Just to keep this going. I don't want to, like, there are mold things in here. Like, I would use, I'm not really anal about any of that stuff. I couldn't care less. You're a perfect modeler. You go in there, 150, get these all out. See, I'm not in the mood to sit here and sand like 30. And even with this is just going to be a practice thing. If this was your real model, go in there at 150, get all these. But be careful of this. You're gonna it's really hard because you could take this down. That's why you just want to do this lightly, especially on these raised areas. You just want to get the little bit of the shine down. Just go across the whole thing. Get on the edges where where it's gonna be. What I mean by that is get on the areas that if the thing was under strain, it has some grip. Like on edges, definitely want to give these some wipe downs, because if you don't and it's a perfectly smooth surface, that's a perfect place for it to come off. Like these areas, there's no chance it's gonna come off. There's no way. There's no one that's gonna be like. There's no chance of it. The reason why I'm saying these things is because I also consider it. I like to do stuff as if it was a real car. So, and I've had this issue. Right? Like if, let's say you pick it up and let's say you put it on the car and you pick it up. Let's say after time it keeps rubbing on it, could chip off. And once that chips, you're done. I mean, that piece is chipped. You cannot refix that. You can. It's not gonna look any as good as if you just did it the right time the first time. You're never gonna get it back. So I mean, honestly, I think this thing is good. I mean, what I'm gonna do is next part's gonna be priming. But what I'm gonna do it off camera, is I'm gonna take this upstairs and give it another wash off with the Dawn Platinum soap. Just use soap. I like the Dawn. You can use something else. I don't know if it's gonna. It's just soap. I just like that one because when it's done, you get this like feeling on stuff, even on your hands. It feels clean. You have that feeling, and I just like that. It's like a guide almost. You know when it's clean, and you know when the soap's off, so there's nothing behind. Like, it's like when you use a guide coat when you're sanding. You put the guide coat on, you know when it's done. If you use, that's why I like that soap. Some soaps, even body soaps, have that feeling. After you wash yourself, you feel, and it's like, oh, it has a feeling. If you've used those kind of soaps, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, give the stuff a try. Even, not just for modeling. I'm just saying, for yourself. Give it a shot. You'll understand then what I'm talking about with the modeling stuff. So, well, I think I'm done with this part 2. Part 2 was sanding with 600. And I gave a little bit of tips and tricks along the way, and what I would do if I was epoxying, or if I had something that I actually had to sand down properly. Like I said, I would use 150, then go over it with the 320, and then go to 600. And you can actually go 320, 400, and 600. It's up to you. Depends how into it you want to get. And that's really the truth. How far do you want to go? You want to go super anal? You got to sand these things out. I mean, I'm not in the mood to sit there and sand them out. Like, this one's okay. You could sand that out, no problem. I would be worried about, I sanded that out, but now there's a big groove here. What would there's like, but don't get me wrong. You want to get rid of this? You want to know how to do it? Take a piece of Tamiya masking tape, put it on here, then sit there with your X-Acto knife and sit there and cut the whole thing out and sit there and sand it. I mean, there is a way of doing everything. It's just how far do you want to go. Little guy from Atrio Motorsports, going out with part 2.